Welcome, everybody, to the Detectorists on the Detectorists. Happy New Year, if we can still say that. We are here to review Season 1, Episode 5, with the wonderful Detector Ross. Ross, hello, how you doing? And, of course, my co-host, Karl. Happy New Year to you both.
Happy New Year, both.
Woohoo!
And to the listeners.
Happy New Year.
And to the listeners, yeah. I wonder what you've all been up to. The weather hasn't been great, has it? Let's be honest.
Indeed.
For detecting, woof, my goodness.
Right off.
Yeah, I've been out once,
Yeah.
and it was okay, but it was on Sunday just gone, and I had to play football halfway through the day, so it was a freezing day of detecting, and then didn't really look forward to football either.
But you did it, you got through it.
And then it started snowing
really?
after that.
It's very strange. The south seems to have had more snow than the north. We've not had any snow yet, and it's usually the opposite way around.
Yeah, that's it. It's been coming over. The beast from the east. It's got us first. It's really cold, actually. I had to go out this morning and break the ice off of the top of we've got a little pond, and you've always got to go and look after the frogs that are sort of trapped under the ice going, help me. So I managed to remember to do that. But cheers to you all. I have got my merch. Let's promote the merch.
Cheers.
This came in the post today.
Yeah. Only the Detectorists on Detectorist crew got one of these, and Dawn, Digger Dawn, got one as well because she's been a great pal to me. So yeah, nice mug. I do like the styles.
I should be seeing Dawn on Saturday, actually.
Say hello.
Going out on the local club dig, so yes, I will. I'll say hello for you.
Yeah, good, thank you. I went for the black, and Karl, you got the black, and then Ross, I was stalking some of your Instagrams to try and work out what your favourite colour was. So I went for the dark blue. Right, let's kick off then.
Oh, well, thanks.
So when we last left our review, the last episode 104, we left it poor Andy in a real sorry state, didn't we? He'd mucked up on so many levels. He'd lost his Detectorist best buddy because he'd gone out with Sophie and found the gold. And then he'd royally messed up with Becky, and she'd stormed off, but he didn't quite understand why, did he? He thought it was because she thought he was calling her fat. So he wasn't a happy boy. Yeah. So we kick off this episode. So as I say, it's Series 1, Episode 5. It was first aired on the 30th of October, 2014. And this episode is called Dirty Smears. And it starts off in the first scene in a bit of a dirty way for Andy, doesn't it? Yeah. It did make me giggle.
Muck for luck.
Muck for luck. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They still say, don't they, to brides and things, if you get shat on by a bird, it's good luck, apparently. But I just don't see it. I don't see it. There's optimistic thinking, but that's just silly.
Yeah.
So yeah, Andy's out on his own, isn't he?
Yeah. I've never been pooed on by a bird before, actually.
I'll see what I can arrange.
No. Yeah. I know there are places you can go for that, but yeah, never.
There's places for anything these days, isn't there? Oh gosh! So I think I have been once, and it was kind of a swipe, so it wasn't the full amount, but just once or twice, maybe. Being living on the coast, you tend to get that. So Andy's out on his own. He looks a forlorn figure, doesn't he? Because of course, he's annoyed everybody, and he sees some seagulls, and they're circling for some reason. And he looks up, looking at the beauty of the seagulls that's soaring past. Around my way, it's usually red kites. He gets shat on from a royal height, and I think that is, a bit of a metaphor for what he's going through at the moment, isn't it? He's getting shat on all over. And then we get our lovely titles, and then it skips to Andy sat under the lunch tree alone as well. And then you see a figure approaching, don't you? And it's dear old Sophie. Here she comes. So she's... Go on, Ross.
Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah.
We all feel that way about Sophie, don't we? When I saw her approaching, I was like, oh, here we go. So yeah, she turns up and she's moaning at him that she's rung him and left a message, but he's done what a lot of us do, even more these days. I mean, I do it a lot now. turned off his phone, ignoring those pings and pongs and notifications because he's going through a bit of a tough time. So he's obviously ignored his messages. And she's asking him about going down to Bishop's Farm, and he says, well, I don't want to do that without Lance. So he's learnt his lesson, hasn't he? You don't cheat your detecting buddy.
I think so.
That's just awful. So, yeah, he's learnt his lesson, and then she's querying and saying it was nice to meet Becky, and then he says, Becky's left me. And Sophie's asking the obvious, why? He doesn't know. And so I think Sophie kind of gets the gist that she's the cause of a lot of Andy's.
Yeah, she says my fault
Yeah,
too, probably.
says, yeah.
Bex, doesn't she, I think?
Oh, what was it? Says, is it maybe or could be? I can't think. I don't think he directly says yes. But
I think he says probably.
Yeah, I think his whole tone though is just so cold. Like you can hear that he just doesn't want to talk to her.
Yeah,
in the slightest.
He's
but I also think that he's not willing to admit that it's partly his fault as well. It's not just Sophie. I don't think. I think he's kind of like playing along with it to extent.
Yes,
but he still doesn't.
No, he doesn't. He's just so naive.
He's just not picked up any of the signs.
Well, I like that even though he's quite curt to her, he still has the time of day a little bit for her because he sort of still engages in the conversation about not being able to use the remotes to watch University Challenge. So she obviously tries to jump in with a chat. But I just want to know how obviously Andy and Lance have those chats about University Challenge. When did she pick up that they have those chats to ask him? Did you see University Challenge last time?
Good point.
But I suppose it's implied that she must have picked that up. But yeah, so he still gives her the time of day, which is still quite nice.
Yeah, he's a good chap, isn't he? Deep down, you're right. So yeah, I love the bit where he's talking about the telly, and it's so funny, isn't it? I don't know if you remember, but like way back when people started syncing up their 5-point whatever surround systems, it was a bit like that, wasn't it? You would end up with 3 or 4 remote controls, and you just wouldn't have a clue how to turn it all on. If you managed to get the telly on, there was no sound, or maybe you just had the sound and the telly wouldn't come on. So
you'd have sellotape wrapped around the back of the bit.
Exactly. Yeah. So I felt his pain there. It's a lot easier now with sound bars and Bluetooth and things. So yeah, Andy goes on to say he's thinking about giving it all up. And he confides in Sophie a bit, doesn't he? He says, him and Becky are skint. He wants to sell his detector, and maybe he can take Becky away somewhere to try and win him over. And he's got this gold on his mind, and he's like, I found my gold. I think I'm done. So it's a bit sad, really, isn't it? Which, I mean, I haven't found gold yet. Ross, you've not found gold yet, have you? Unless you found it over the last couple of weeks. Karl, you had gold.
I have.
No, you've had gold, haven't you? Would you give it up?
Oh no, there's better gold than that. Like, don't get me wrong, gold's gold. I'd take it all day. It was half a Victorian purse clasp, so it must have been a very expensive purse. But yeah, there's. To be fair, though, I never expected to find gold anywhere. I wasn't in it. I'm not in the hobby for gold and riches. I just enjoy getting out.
Yeah.
Do you consider gold the same if it's young as or modern? I mean, Victorian's obviously Victorian, so that's different. But do you have to do the gold dance if you find someone's gold necklace that was made in 2015?
I'd say yeah. I just see it as gold being gold. I don't think it. For me, it doesn't matter what the age is. It's gold. It's like it's the ultimate, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe because it's modern, you have to do it to like the Macarena or something like that. But you still have to do the gold dance.
Yeah, but if it's any older, it's really befitting the age.
Yeah, good question though. But I think, 2 votes for, you definitely have to dance, whatever gold it is.
I'm not, I'm still pretty confident that I won't be dancing if I find gold or however old it is. It could be Saxon gold, and I think I would still be chuffed and show people, but I don't think I would bring myself to dance. I just don't know if I
think a lot of people get paralysis on the main episodes you might have heard, but a few people have gone, did you do the gold dance? And they've forgotten, or they've just been too flabbergasted.
I think that's the thing as well. When I found mine, I was on my own, so I could dance like a complete prat and no one would see me. But then I put the video up on Instagram anyway, so it makes no difference.
You did, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Although Ellie, our fellow detectorist on Detectorists, she owes me a gold dance. Ellie, if you're listening, that gold posy ring you found, you still have not produced evidence of a gold dance. And she's promised it to do it 2 or 3 times now, to not just me.
No, she did a dance for something
She
else.
did do a dance. What was that to? Was that a Hamid or a Roman? I think it was a Roman, wasn't it? Something like that.
Might have been, yeah.
Doesn't
But
count.
don't count. It
She
doesn't
needs to
count.
do that dance. We're all putting the pressure on now. So yeah, he's saying he might give it up. Sophie's just kind of frowning at him, and she's saying, "Well, Lance will be gutted," and Andy says, "Yeah, but Becky won't," and that's obviously his main concern at the moment. And yeah, then they talk about University Challenge, and it's just not the same, is it, for Andy talking to Sophie about University Challenge? That is Lance that he wants. He wants his Lancey back.
After the job he did with the post office just this last week, I'd
yeah, right. Well. What a turnaround!
Did you see
I haven't
that
watched
series?
it, but I've been impressed with the response and
so good.
The impact that show's had now on the government and the police and the investigations. About time too, I tell you.
He was really good in it, Toby Jones.
Yeah,
he really did. And there was almost a sometimes there's sort of parallels between shows that people have been in. I was saying this the other day, that obviously in Detectorists he's a hobbyist, and then in the show he also sort of makes a remark about it being a hobby, and I wondered if it was anyway linked in the writing or deliberate, but I don't know.
Yeah,
but he was really
got
good
it on
in
the planner. I'm going to enjoy binge watching that. That's going to be awesome.
So good.
So we kick on to scene 3, and Lance is at work, and it's the opposite, isn't it, to the way that Andy's all sad and depressed, and then you see Lance all sad and depressed, and this is just such a funny classic scene, a work scene, and trying to force a conversation, isn't it? And he's having a boring conversation with some guy. I can't remember what his name was, Clive or something. No, Cliff. Yes,
Cliff.
that's it, Cliff.
Yeah.
And he's talking about veg. He's asking if he's done the sprouts or something. I don't know. It's all one word answers, like, yep. And then Lance asks him if he watched University Challenge, and Cliff just turns, doesn't he, and looks at him like, what are you talking about? He's just got no clue. What are you on about? And then he asks if he's done the spuds. Lance is like, yep. And then thankfully Lance is interrupted by a phone call, and it's his good old ex-wife, isn't it? His ex-ball and chain, Maggie, and she's he then shouts over to his boss if he can leave early, because Mags is obviously calling on him again to do her yet another favour. And then he dashes off. And I'm thinking at this point, oh, I wonder what's gone on. I actually thought maybe something, because I can't remember, had happened to Mags's mum. But no, of course, she's just using Lance again. And that leads us into scene 4.
I actually learnt something from that scene. Completely opposite to detecting. Pomegranates. Do we grow pomegranates in this country? Because everything that they seem to be doing at that place, it's like they've grown it and they've been making it. But then pomegranates.
Yeah, I'd guess that no.
Yeah, it must be the only one that they import.
Must be.
Yeah, I've never. No, it's a good question. I'm not sure where they come from.
Dear listener.
I also like, because I'm a manager, and I like sort of noticing how people react or engage with managers, and I like how Lance speaks to whoever's in charge, Ted. He gives him a solution. So he said, "Is it all right if I knock off once I've done the pomegranate?" So he already gives him, if I do this, can the reward be I knock off early, rather than can I leave early and then rely on the manager to then say, if you do the pomegranates, you can. So it's quite managing upwards.
There you go. Top tip, everybody. If you want to get out of work early, offer a solution first.
Yeah.
I love that. Observation. We cut over and we're back to Andy again. And Andy is walking on a pavement using the measuring wheel. He's obviously measuring something out as one of his little part-time odd jobs. And this brought back memories for me. For some reason, I loved it in primary school when the teacher would whip out her measuring wheel and then get us all to run along with the measuring wheel, measuring stuff. Why they did that, I don't know.
It's another example as well, isn't it, of having something like a detector in his hand. He has the cleaning
and he's got his
floor
headphones
buffer
in as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got our little Easter egg back. And then sad times, he pulls out his phone, and we know he usually at this point pulls out his phone and makes arrangements with the Lance to do something, doesn't it? But he kind of looks at his phone, sees no one's messaged him, and also doesn't reach out to Lance. So it's another sad point of how their relationship is currently on the rocks, not so good.
Is it not Becky?
Is it Becky or is it Lance? Which one? Neither.
Yeah.
Neither are calling out at this point.
Neither have messaged. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Nobody loves you, Andy. So we cut over and we see where Lance's destination was when Maggie called on him, and he's looking miserable, leaning on the counter in her shop, in her new age shop, isn't she? He rather, and she's obviously called on him to look after the place, and he's trying to blag it with a customer who's coming in, and she's asking all sorts of questions about the different crystals and what they do, and she wants something. This customer something shamanic. And Lance is doing his best at trying to blag it. Again, I don't know about you two, I won't speak for you two, but I've certainly done that when I've started a job and I've not had a Scooby-Doo what something is. I'm like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah. Blagging is a very important skill.
I am a chief blagger at all times. So yeah, he's doing his best and he sends this lady off towards the back of the shop saying all the shamanic stuff's over there. And then Maggie returns a little bit out of breath and looking a bit forlorn, but she explains that she's been down the bank and she's had no luck on a loan, and she's going to have to close up the shop. And you can see where this is leading, can't you?
The way that she talks and she pulls on his heartstrings, she's so manipulative. I hate her. I really don't like her.
Like she was in EastEnders.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, she's laying it on really thick, isn't she? And Lance is like, oh well, I haven't quite, what's going on? What about Tony? Has he got any savings? And to that, I was thinking, yeah, right, Tony. And he's saying he might try. Lance might try and look at things, and she's like, well, I don't need some of the amount, I need the whole amount. She's saying, and also she's trying to give him the hurry up, saying that she needs it quickly. So yeah, then the dodgy customer comes up with a big old stick, and he tells her it's a spirit stick. But yeah, Lance, he's starting to, at this point, I think he's starting to see how Maggie and how Andy might have been right, and Maggie sort of just wants to use him a bit. Looks like it's dawning on him.
Yeah. But it's the, she asks him if he has sugar in the tea again, or is it the first time? And there's that frustration of her not knowing him despite the time they had, and that is another sign, I think, for him that she's not interested in him. Just what he's got in his bank,
big time.
He mentioned
that's one of my favourite lines. He just says like quite strong, like Swafiga. It's brilliant.
I looked up Swafiga because I had some. Well, my dad had Swafiga because he used to do welding, so he used to have it for, cleaning, metallic stuff off his hands. And it comes from the old Derbyshire term swarf, which is oil and grease, and eager, EGA, meaning eager, as in eager to clean.
I didn't know what that was. You've just educated me there.
My dad used to have some, and I can still smell it now. I love the smell of Swafiga.
Yeah, I was thinking to get some.
It's just green and it's got like bits of grit in. It's like a jelly with grit in it.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I've never heard of it.
The other trick is washing up liquid sugar.
Right.
Just a spoonful of sugar, washing up liquid. That's really good for getting grease and grit out your hand. Hard
a bit of an exfoliant with the old sugar. or salt, I suppose.
Exactly.
Brilliant. See, we are full of the tips here, aren't we? We're giving away all these lovely tips to people. So we cut over, and Andy has finished his odd job for the day, and he's talking through a letterbox. And this is a bit of a pleading scene, isn't it? So he's talking through the letterbox. It's obviously Becky's mum's house, and then Becky angrily opens the door. She's not happy, is she? Told you not to come here, is what she says straight away. And Andy, the blagger he is, goes, "Oh, I've lost my phone." And then she goes, "See it in your pocket. It's sticking out your pocket, mate. What are you doing?"
I think I found it again.
Oh yeah, there it is. But he's got his in, he's got her attention. She's opened the door, so he's done well there, hasn't he? And he's trying to explain that he's going to sell his detector. That's his main goal, to make sure she knows that he's selling his detector to get some money. He's going to sort himself out. And she's like, "Is this your big gesture?" So at this point, remember, Andy still doesn't really know what he's done, does he? He's like, "Oh, I'll just do anything." He thinks it's about the detecting. He's not quite sure. And she points that out to him. She calls him out. She says, "You don't even know what you've done." So she brings out the picture at this point and sort of throws it in his face. And Andy takes a good long look and goes, "Oh, it's not what it looks like." And she's like, "Oh, really?" "It's not you kissing Sophie." And he's like, No, she's kissing me." And then he's asking her where she got it, and he's saying he's not sleeping with her, and she points out, "I'm not accusing you of sleeping with her. I'm accusing of you perhaps getting towards that point."
Nice and close.
Yeah, exactly. So Becky's very good at articulating her thought process here. So yeah, she's saying, "Go on, Russ."
Well, I do love their conversations. I think one of my favourite bits of the entire series, of all of the series, is those two interacting at home. It just feels like a quite early days relationship. They haven't got to hate each other yet. So they still are quite happy to go to the pub together after work and that kind of thing. And I just love there's almost like a comedy between them, but it feels natural. It doesn't feel like it's written comedy. It feels like they're naturally quite funny between each other. So, when he goes to give it back to her, she says, "No, I'm all right, thanks. I'm okay for pictures of kissing on the way." So it's still some like kind of ribbing, even though it's angry. So I quite like it.
Yeah. They do seem like proper best mates, don't they? They take the mick out of each other. And when they were happy a couple of episodes again, I think you said the same thing. And she was just ribbing him, wasn't she, about detecting and his relationship with Lance. And yeah, that continues. So yeah, I love that bit about the picture. I'm all right for pictures of you kissing other women, thank you. And then she tells him to keep it, and then he rips it up and puts it in the bin, doesn't he? She's like, "Do not put that in there." And he proper has to like climb
you got to recycle it.
It's just like, no. So yeah, he goes bin diving, gets it out, and then she slams the door. So that is that. And we go on to the next scene where Lance is sitting in a field pondering. And go on.
I just thought, like, I wonder if that's like a metaphor of taking the rubbish away with you. Like when you're out in the field detecting, you should always take your junk away with you. And I wonder if that's kind of like a bit of a metaphor. So I see it anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
Take your mess with you, exactly. Yes. She certainly doesn't want it in her mum's bin. So yeah, this scene is very similar, isn't it, to the first scene where Andy was sat and then Sophie approaches, but this time it's Lance sitting in the field pondering and Sophie turns up to chat to him. And she starts sort of trying to get to the detail of it, doesn't it? Why Lance and Andy aren't talking. I think she's quite genuine here in that she's seen the effect she's had around their relationship. And really good scene this where Lance opens up and he explains how detecting was their escape from the world, and all this will sound familiar to us and the listeners, that detecting for us is not just a hobby, it is your escape. And It can be your alone time and your thinking time, or it can be your time to meet up with your buddies and have a good chat, isn't it? So it's really important to us.
Finding junk and talking bollocks is what
Finding
Lance
junk
says.
and talking bollocks. That really sums up the hobby.
You've upgraded the swearing there from shat earlier to bollocks, and that's. I think
there is a very big word going on. His delivery of that line is just beautiful.
No, I'm not going to say that because I think you were editing me out, Katie, in the previous one of our podcasts.
We can use the what's the word for it? Never mind, it's gone.
A pinpointer tone.
That'll work. What's one of them phrases where like a sentence is made up from the letters?
Oh yeah, an acronym.
Yes, an acronym.
No, the opposite way around. So you can have a sentence. So basically, that word.
So see you next Tuesday.
Exactly. So what is that?
Oh, I see.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of what they're called. Anyway, it don't matter.
Don't know. We're going to have to research that as well. But it's item number 3 to research after this episode. But yeah, dear listeners, if there are children around in the room, I think we're going to go full force with the swear words over the next couple of minutes. So yeah, I don't want to do the bleeping anymore. I want to keep it true and realistic. So I'm warning you, there may be some dodgy words coming up. So yes, Lance is talking about, as detectorists, we never find gold, never, although some of us do, Karl. So it's really special. We don't admit it, but that's what we're hunting for. We're hunting for the gold, which is true to a certain extent. I mean, yeah, we'd love it if we found gold, but it's not the 100% truth, is it, for everybody? For me, I just love finding anything. I can identify and do a bit of research on. But yeah, wouldn't mind the gold.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's jealous that she got to be with him when he found it, because it is a sacred moment, and he's accusing her, maybe you're his lucky charm. So again, there's that jealousy, isn't there, that she was there and he wasn't. So
yeah,
yes, exactly.
Really honest about being jealous.
Which is good. It's better, isn't it, to air these emotions sometimes. So he's talking about the Maggie and what does it? She suggests Maggie or something, didn't she? And then Lance is explaining that no, Maggie will just fleece you, and he sort of talks Sophie through the fact that Maggie wants some money off of him. And again, she's talking about Tony, and this is the point where the see you next Tuesday comes in, isn't it? So Lance is like, no, Tony is a see you next Tuesday. I only save that word for special occasions. If you ever hear me say that word, you know you're in trouble.
Voice notes of me saying it over and over.
Thank you. I can place it in the edit.
And it is actually the only time that word's used, and you can tell that Lance, like, he really means it.
Yeah,
he's not mincing his words there, is he?
No, absolutely. And, it is the perfect descripting word for Tony, because it's exactly what Tony is. And I think we're all feeling it at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Sophie just gives her opinion and says, don't do it, don't lend her the money. But then Lance kind of like chastised a bit, doesn't he? And he's like, no, stay out of it. It's not your business.
Not your business, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then he says he won the lottery the day that Maggie left him. And Sophie's like, oh, yeah. And Sophie probes a bit more. She's like, well, you mean, you were lucky to escape? No, I won the lottery the day that Maggie left. She's like, what are you talking about? And he comes through with the story of the day it happened. And he confirms that it was November the 5th. He'd gone out and there were fireworks going off, and he almost felt like people were celebrating the end of his relationship. Yeah. So he walked into the offie to try and get a beer or something, but he only had £1 on him. So he got a lottery ticket. And then, boom, he won 300k. Yeah, not bad that, is it? 300k is a little bit of compensation for the end of a shitty marriage. Nice. Yeah. So she swiftly asks if she can borrow a tenner, a bit tongue in cheek. It's like,
No.
no. Look after the pennies, look after the pounds, eh? So he says no, and then all of a sudden we see and hear Simon and Garfunkel approaching, and this is where it all hits the fan, isn't it? And they come along with Pride and Garfunkel, aka Paul, I believe his name is. They explain that the land is now a site of special archaeological interest, and the antiquity searchers have sole permission to detect, along with the North Essex Portable Antiquities Scheme. So yeah, that's a bit of a blow, isn't it? And you'd expect Lance in his trusty way to kick off a bit about it, but he's so downtrodden at this point, he just kind of accepts it, doesn't he? He's just like,
because that's the gold farm, isn't it?
yeah.
So they found, obviously, Andy found the gold on there, and now that's closed as an avenue. So the first gold they
Now
found
it's
is
like,
closed off.
no, exactly. And because Paul, aka Garfunkel of Simon and Garfunkel, is so proudly explaining the situation, Lance stops him in his tracks and just basically says, "You sound like a dickhead. You're acting like a dickhead. You sound like a dickhead." And then you see Andy approaching at speed. Andy's cross.
I find it interesting though that it's the farmer's land, and yet it can be closed off and taken on by some group that the farmer doesn't have any say over who can detect that land now. I find that really amazing. That I suppose it's down to government and the land belonging to the UK as opposed to the farmer.
Yeah.
And you're just a custodian.
I suppose it's like the same way as like you find treasure. I think if you buy the land and there's treasure in the land, technically that you've bought the land and whatever's in it. So if you happen to find something, it should be yours. But no, it's still owned by the treasury. Yeah, the crown. Yeah,
the crown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, well, that's why another reason why some landowners are a bit hesitant to let you on a detector, I guess, because they envisage all these potential issues coming down the line. Exactly. Just while we're on the subject of those kind of things, did you see my post about that new series starting?
Yeah, I've not watched it yet.
Yeah, it's called Finders Keepers, I think. It's Neil Morrissey.
Yeah, it's on the January.
Is that when it comes on?
James Buckley, isn't it? For the In-Betweeners.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So that'll be interesting because the subject of that is Detectorists finding gold and not declaring it and everything that comes after that.
Paint a bad picture.
Yeah, which is what I put up. I was like, thoughts? Because that was my first instinct as well. And it's been quite interesting to see people's feedback. And then other people perhaps putting it up because it's about detecting, but maybe not understanding what the storyline is. So I'm like, oh, it'll be interesting to see people's opinions when that first airs.
So Neil Morrissey was Tony in Men Behaving Badly, so he was behaving badly there. Then he was in Line of, he wasn't only then, but he was in Line of Duty and he played a bad
he was
cop.
Great in that.
He was corrupt, and now he's going to be a bad metal detector who doesn't declare what he should be declaring. So constant bad boy. And he was in Skins. He was in Skins as a stepdad of someone. I think he was behaving badly in that. That's right.
Yeah. So. Naughty Neil. We've got your number, Neil. Anything you're in, we know what's going on. So Andy's approaching at speed, angrily with the envelope, isn't he? And he passes the photo to Sophie. Now, the photo's in one piece again now, isn't it, at this point?
Oh, I didn't notice.
Did he sellotape it? Right.
Yeah.
Didn't notice that first time around, so that thought only just popped into my head. So Sophie looks at it and she spins round and looks up at Phil, who we now know is called Phil, and says, "Phil, you bastard." And Andy's like, "How do you know his name's Phil?" And and he quizzes her, "Are you an antiquity researcher?" And this is the point where she has to confess and says, I was, and they asked me to keep an eye on you. So it's all coming out for Sophie, isn't it? She's obviously feeling bad and on the side of Andy and Lance, but now she's been found out.
Yeah.
So Andy at this point says this is like the worst edition of Scooby-Doo.
In the script, Lance was meant to say season 22, episode 3 as well, but he didn't add that. They cut that bit
right.
out.
So they just kept it at generic Scooby-Doo.
Demonstrating their encyclopedic knowledge of Scooby-Doo episodes.
That would have been good, yeah. Know exactly what was happening in that episode. Bishop approaches and he's saying, in his lovely way, "Oh, you've met each other." And he lets them know that the MOD have finished their survey. And then Andy explains, "When I told you about the rogues, these are the rogues. And they've pushed them out. And Sophie was the mole who spied on us. So that must have hurt Sophie. But it's the truth, right?" And Bishop, of course, half turning around, goes, "Oh, come on, you're all metal detectors." And it's nice that in a chorus they all correct him and say, "Metal detectorists." At which point, now this is a good bit, Lance looks at Andy and says, "Pub," and Andy agrees. So you can see that they're getting back together. So Andy is winning, at least on his relationship with Lance. So that's some good news, isn't it? So we see Lance and Andy walking away, and yes, they are obviously rekindling their friendship as one of them quizzes to the other if they've seen 15 to 1. And is it Lance saying, "Oh yeah, I'm not enjoying it because Sandy Toxic is always cracking jokes and there's no room for humour on 15 to 1.
I'm not a big fan of Sandy myself either. I didn't like it when she
from
I
like a bit of Sandy Toxic. She's all right.
She's okay.
Not your favourite.
Right. Not my favourite.
Did you see? Are you a fan of Stephen Fry? Have you caught
Fry.
Jeopardy that's now on ITV with Stephen Fry?
No, I haven't seen it yet. They're good.
Have
I
you?
met Stephen Fry, actually.
Nice guy.
At Southampton Football Club. Yeah, he was really nice. He was there as a guest in the boardroom.
I'll let you check out Jeopardy, and you can let me know what you think. I won't give anything away. Okay, so we're now at the Metal Detecting Club, Danesbury Metal Detecting Club, and they're obviously chatting about what's been going on, and they've shared the news about Sophie, and Louise is like, "I never liked her." And then Andy explains that the farm is lost, and Lance is saying he's going to withdraw from the presidency race for the club as well. Russell is saying, "Well, who's going to lead us?" And then Lance explains he thinks he's going to go independent. He's a bit tired of all the drama and he wants to go independent. And then Andy's saying, "Yeah, he'll go it alone with Lance." So that's kind of nice. I thought, oh, that's good. They're definitely getting back together. And then enters good old Terry. Terry enters. He's on his crutches with Sheila. And he's going, "Where's the fines table? What's going on?" Since he's been away, obviously it's all a mess. There's no fines table. They couldn't find the fines table, even though there's tables all around them. There's obviously one specific table. And then he's asking about Sophie, and someone says she's gone to the other side, and he's like, "What? She's dead?" No, she was the spy. And then Sheila, bless her, she's like, "Bitch." So
the way she punched it out.
Yeah. Although Sheila probably knew this because we've kind of guessed that she's a bit of a clairvoyant, so Sheila probably predicted this, right? So Terry, good old Terry, he's like, "Serves you all right for thinking with your dick, but not you, Louise, because you haven't got a dick." So Louise is like, "Sexist." I really love this scene.
Oh, it's cracked. Yeah, the line just absolutely cracked me up. The funniest line of the episode, I think, is.
Oh God! But then Sheila turns around and goes, "You should see him in his flamenco outfit." Louise is like, "Sexist, Sheila, not sexy."
That's the line. Because he does that kind of whimsical look to the heavens.
It's just brilliant. And then Terry proclaims, well, that's it then. That's the end of the club. And then there's a noise as the door opens. And it's a delivery man asking if this is the metal detecting club. Terry's like, no new members. And then he explains it's a delivery for Lance Stater. And Lance goes, oh, yes, it's the fleeces with the logo on, right? And then he explains to get the discount, to get the really good deal and save money, he had to buy 150 of them. So he's bought 4 or 5 boxes of fleeces. And I love it when they get the fleece out. It's camo, isn't it? It's camo fleece with the badge. Yeah. We all love a bit of camo.
And he does some really quick maths because he works out that they get 21 each. 7 people, which means that's 147, but that leaves 3 over. So I thought maybe Sheila would
only fair, right? Everything she does, all that lemonade making.
Yeah. Makes a lemonade, exactly, yeah.
She deserves a fleece or 2. Yeah, 21 fleeces. Imagine that. Woof. So Terry says, that's it. We can't disband the club. So the power of the fleeces. Lance was always keen on the fleeces, wasn't he? But the fleeces arriving has really G'd Terry up. And he's like, no. What we need to do is we need open days. So what do you say? And he's like, I can't hear you. And then Russell's like, okay. In like a monotone, yeah. Terry's hoping for whoops and cheers, but it just doesn't come. And Russell says, shall we lift you on our shoulders now? He gets that Terry wants something. Yeah, exactly. He's like, no, thank you. So that's all very positive, isn't it? It's starting to look up. The episode is starting from, pick up from a very dark place where we entered in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Everything's going away, but Andy still has one massive problem, and that's, Becky, and he's obviously brokenhearted, and he's back at home and he can't use those blimmin' remotes. He's trying to get the telly on to watch some quiz show or another, and he can't. And then you can see he's sad and he's in the kitchen and he goes to empty the bin. He opens the bin and he does what we all do. You empty the kitchen bin and you go and find the other bins to empty into the same bag. And this is when he goes to the bathroom bin. And this is where he makes the discovery. Finally, he's going to have some idea of the situation Becky's in. And he finds the pregnancy test. So he's obviously had a bit of a think about it, and you can see behind him in this next picture where he's picking up the phone to Becky to leave her a message. There's like a half-drunk bottle of whiskey or something behind him, isn't there? And he's all glazed and trying to string together a sentence or 2 on a message to Becky. He's just kind of begging.
I thought, despite the fact he drank so much whiskey, his grammar was really great because... when you write and you would say, well, the line he uses is, I'm going to pull my socks up, my finger out, and myself together. But he uses the word pull refers to all of those statements. So I'm going to pull my socks up, my finger out, and myself together. So he's very good grammatically, even though he's had so much whiskey.
Very, very good, very efficient with his words. So again, he sort of, tells her he's going to sell the detector. And he hangs up the phone and he just says, brilliant, that's that sorted then. As you always hope when you've had a drunken apology on an answer machine, you're like, well, that's going to have fixed it. So Andy and Lance are now sat under the tree looking at the archaeological digs through the binoculars. And they can see Simon and Garfunkel there happily detecting over the spoil heap. So they're getting to have all the fun and potentially find all the gold, aren't they? So it must be a bit of a dagger through the heart that that's the situation happening. And they're just chatting and asks Andy what he's going to do with the gold. And he explains he's going to, give it to Becky, try to win her back with a bit of gold. Probably a high success rate in life in general. If you give someone gold, you're going to be on the good side. But it's at this point that Andy wants to confide in Lance, isn't it? And he says, can I tell you something private? To which point Lance interrupts saying, Becky's pregnant. Because he's known all along, hasn't he? He strung all the pieces together.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the signs were there.
Yeah. Surrounded by psychics, what we've Max and Sheila.
Yeah, exactly. But he's just looked at the normal signs that Becky. He explains it. He says, "How do you know that?" He said, "Well, Becky wasn't drinking, and you kept saying she was throwing up all the time." And Andy explains, "God, I'm such an idiot." And at which point we're all nodded at the telly, going, "Yeah, Andy, you are. You don't know what you're doing." So he shared that news, and then they look back down on the scene in front of them, and they can see that the police have arrived. And they're giving Simon and Garfunkel their marching orders and sort of moving them away from the scene. So they both say, should we go down and have a closer look, see what's going on? So they go down there, and I love this bit because Bishop, bless him, he's just always so happy and friendly, isn't he? Absolutely bonkers, but he's so happy and friendly. And Bishop explains that a body has been found, or bones have been found, maybe Saxon. And Andy explains, Saxon bones would have rotted long ago. So you're starting to think, what could this be?
I didn't realise that.
Go on.
I didn't realise that. I thought bones were around for years. I didn't think Saxon. Yeah, I didn't think Saxon bones had disintegrated.
No, because you see the Roman burials, don't you? The Alice, what's her face? Alice Roberts programs and stuff.
Maybe it depends on the soil they've been in. Suppose in peaty ground, then they're going to be preserved for a long time, aren't they?
Or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly.
So the policeman then comes over and asks Bishop if he recognises a ring, and he says, "Oh yes, it's Justine's ring. It's Justine, isn't it? His missing wife." At which point they read him his rights and arrest him, because they're obviously arresting him, putting 2 and 2 together, and coming up with
what is it he says at the end? He says something like, "Oh, well, isn't this a turn up for the book?" Something like that.
Yeah, but
he says turnip, doesn't he? Yeah. Turnip for the books.
Because there was that other one in the previous episode we discussed as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. A similar kind of thing where there's a word switched in to what he actually said.
Yeah. So he asked the boys if they can look out for the dogs. He's worried about the dogs, and everyone's like, we'll look out for the dogs. And Andy and Lance stare in disbelief as he's carted off in the police car. And that is the end of the episode. So all very exciting. And Andy's sort of halfway there in recovering things, isn't he? He's got it back with Lance, I think, but a lot of work to do with Becky.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favourite episodes. I think obviously you got the reveal of the lottery win. This, I like as I say the relationship between Becky and Andy anyway. But when she's at her mum's house, I quite like their interactions there. There's a bit of unhappiness and winning round. That's quite a successful. You feel that there's a bit of success at the end, even though it's a voicemail message. But clearly he's on the right track. She started speaking to him again.
And she's going to have to speak to him soon, because we know what's occurring, and Andy knows what is occurring now. Finally, thank goodness. Yeah. So we look forward to the next episode. So thank you, Ross. Thank you for coming on, reviewing Series 1, Episode 5.
No problem.
And we look forward to chatting to you for your first episode in Series 2 in a few weeks' time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lovely
stuff.
Look forward Brilliant. To it. Well, thanks ever so much. And thank you, listeners. I hope you're keeping up with us. And any of those points we weren't quite sure, if you remembered what the smell of that stuff is. What was that stuff called again? The smell. Swafiga. I've never heard of that before. So, let us know if you know exactly what that smells like.
What were we going to Google? There was something we were
Where the
Google
pomegranates were grown in the UK. Yeah, so we've all got some homework. All right, until next time. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.